Recording in progress.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Mean Green Nation podcast. Welcome to it. Aldo, how you feeling on this Sunday? Because I'm feeling pretty great. North Texas just completed the greatest regular season in program history. 11 wins in the regular season. Regular. However you pronounce it.
It's awesome. History was made this year, right? It's a historic run. We gotta overuse that word history because none of us have ever seen this before. And it's wonderful to see. I mean, sure, it is bittersweet because we're losing everybody, but I am appreciating for what it was. And I know at the beginning of the season I did not. I was stressed out. And as the season progressed, I mean, as a North Texas fan, right? But as the season progressed, I mellowed out and I was like, whatever comes, and I'm accepting everything, and it's been awesome. It's been terrible, albeit I've been super duper sick. That has not helped, but having the Mean Green won.
Yeah,
they won this weekend, and then 2, they're going to the AAC championship, and 3, this historic run makes it a little bit better.
I think Aldo's just like he's sick of college football's, rules, and he's like, I got the itis. So if you don't remember, Friday, North Texas played their final regular season game, beat Temple pretty handily, right? 605 yards, 52 points. They allowed 25, but a lot of that was just kind of, Temple scored all of it in the second half, 18 points in the second half, including 11 in the fourth quarter. It was done and dusted. Nobody cared. Playing out the string. And North Texas could have scored more. I think they actually did score more, but was it Koch? Tipton got called for a holding penalty, number 80. Holding penalty, and then negated a long run by Ashton Gray. So, like I said, I said this before, it could be worse. Right? I've been saying all season, like it could be worse. It could be Lane Kiffin. And everyone's like, now everybody's kind of tired of Lane Kiffin. You've been watching any ESPN. I have not, avoided a lot of ESPN in recent days because it's kind of stupid. It's silly. It's the main fire hose of college football news, but you can see all the silliness behind the scenes. And like I say, honestly, it keeps me a lot more grounded. So I recommend that to you. But I know everybody cares about all this stuff. I'm not blaming you for doing it. I've just been watching a lot of ESPN for a lot of my life, and I kind of get it.
Oh, it's hard because it is your favorite college football team, whatever that may be. It is hard to not take it personally, right? And so that makes it. I think that part of it is what makes it fun, and also makes the heartbreak more amplified. Having that connection, having like, this is my school, you're doing this to my school, you're doing this to me, and that's kind of what college football is about, right? When La Tech blocked that field goal, they blocked my heart. So that was many years ago, and I still haven't recovered.
Yeah, I mean, so like this, it is the thing. I think you make a good point there. It's like that is part of it. The tribalism is part of what makes it fun because I think I've said this before. I think as humans, we have that instinct in there. We're really tribalistic, and otherwise we'd be fighting each other. So this is a healthy way, as unhealthy as it is, college football fandom, right? It's a healthy way to get some of that out, you want to do a little us versus them. It's better if you're doing it about the football team and you care about the coaches and all that as a way to do that instead of just like actually going over there and yelling at your neighbor or something like that. So, I mean, and I think that's the part where it makes it silly because you can't really get that same kind of hate for Temple, right? I mean, I don't think about Temple, and it's because it's Philadelphia. Like the only the hate that people have.
With all due respect, to Philadelphia
Yeah.
and Temple.
But no, that's what I'm saying is that, like, you know, you grew up outside of Austin. I grew up in San Antonio, Texas. And then a lot of people that went to North Texas grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. There's not a lot of Philadelphia hate, you know, outside of the Philadelphia Eagles, right?
Right,
I mean,
Cowboys fans, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, not everybody's a Cowboys fan. Like, you, for some reason, are a Colts fan. And, you know, one of my friends just texted me. He's at the Colts game right now. And I think, what's his name? The Pat, whatever. I can't even think of anybody. McCaffrey, that dude, the punter.
Oh, Pat McAfee.
Jeez, I'm going crazy over here. I need more coffee, sorry. He's there. He gave him the phone. He took a selfie with him. He's there like today or something. Anyway, again, if you don't have that Philadelphia Eagles sports hate, then you're like, oh, why are you? You're like, well, I never did like Allen Iverson. I mean, there's not a whole lot for you to really get excited about. Versus, and again, I'm saying, let's say it was like Sam Houston State, right? You know some people there. You know, like I've known people who went to Sam Houston State. I've known people, you know, like that went to Texas State, that went to or that go to UTSA, that went to Rice. You know, all these programs that are near you, right? They're around you, that kind of stuff. And people go to Texas Tech, to UT, you know, and on and so forth. To Baylor, to live in Waco, all that good stuff. And, you know, having those connections, playing those games, I think is more meaningful than playing out the string against Temple.
Yeah.
Silly.
You're right, because you see these things, right? Like my sister went to Texas State. I did a summer camp there, and I visited as well and swam in the springs down there. San Marcos River is a lot of fun. And, you know, driving up and down from between Dallas and Austin to visit family and stuff, you see McLean Stadium pop up. And so you have a direct connection to all these programs. Visiting, doing on-campus visits, visited Rice. And so it's that direct connection that you can see whenever you're playing Rice or, you know, the one time we played Texas State in recent memory.
Yeah.
That you can not just, like, chant against or root for your team, chant against Texas State, but also like text friends, text loved ones, and have like a little rivalry going on.
Yeah, and so like, you know, you look at the stands, right? Last year we ended the season playing at Temple. This year Temple comes to North Texas, and it's difficult, right? It's like, you know, like it's already difficult to travel around the holidays. You know, you're like, oh, should we go here, there, whatever like that. Like this year we didn't travel anywhere, but like last year we had family in town. So I was not going to be like, hey guys, we're going to go to Philadelphia. You know, let's go. We're all going to go. It's not an easy trip. It's not just a short drive. You can make that, you know, that drive, like when North Texas played into the season in San Antonio. I was like, well, it's just a 4-hour drive down, you know, 35. We can do that. We'll go down there. We'll eat Thanksgiving dinner here. We'll go down there and whatever. Or one time it was like, I'm going to be in town anyway, you know, for family. We'll go to the game. Anyway, right? We'll all go, and that kind of stuff can happen. Even if it's at Texas State, right? If it's anywhere else that's related, even Rice. I've gone to Rice games that we've ended the season at Rice, or Rice has been ended the season there. I guess Rice is a bad example because Rice didn't even show up for their own games. They have to give them free beer. My point is that, like, if you were like, oh, this is, you know, there's not a lot of fans here. Yeah, there weren't a lot of Temple fans here. Temple's not a huge university. I don't know if you know this. There's not a huge Temple alumni base in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And those people were not super excited about Temple football ever, but then also for this season, which is pretty mediocre. So that kind of ended that. North Texas had 605 yards, Temple 316. It was a pretty straightforward domination in this game, which I love to see. You know, like I said, I wrote this, that the best part about being human is that you can get used to anything, right? We got people living in the jungles, in the deserts, in the tundra, in Utah. People live in Utah, and then, you know, you also got the bad part of being human, which is that you can get used to anything, even the great stuff, right? 52 points, that's great. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember this. I remember those McCarney years when, like, 52 points was like, maybe we get there in like 4 games, you know, like after a while we get there. Now it's 50 points every week. We're like, well, you know, that could have been 55. Probably could have got 60.
If we don't break 50, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah, there's a little bit.
Feel good.
Yeah, 605 yards on this thing. You get used to it, and a lot of credit, full credit to to Eric Morris. I don't think North Texas fans are as appreciative of it, again, because we were accustomed to some of that with the Seth Luttrell offenses. Like, Seth Luttrell, I think at one point in time, had 5 of the top 6, 600-yard games or 500-yard games or whatever it was. I forget it, but the actual details don't matter as much as that. Like, in the top 10 offensive performances at North Texas, in North Texas history, most of them were Seth Luttrell offenses. And I think in the 3 years since, Eric Morris has surpassed those. Again, I don't have those numbers in front of me, and it doesn't really matter if it's more than that, it's less. It's just that it's Seth Luttrell, Eric Morris, and mostly Eric Morris in recent years setting offensive records here. Eric Morris has had a superior offense to Seth Luttrell's years, and a lot of that just because he's had 3 quarterbacks throw for 3,000 yards, and I think Seth Luttrell had 2, right? 2, and kind of struggled with some other ones. And again, so a lot of different ways to skin a cat. You can win. I think both of the last 2 coaches had the same problem at different times, and they both had similar solutions at different times. And what it all came down to was who could win the game. That mattered, right? And I'll leading all to this point is that this is a very distraction-filled game, and Eric Morris admitted as such, and he said it was his fault. He didn't want to create this kind of thing, this situation, but actually, like he was actually saying, let's get the deal finalized so that way there won't be any distractions. The people in the OSU office leaked the thing. Insiders were leaking. Reporters got a hold of that. They were reporting. That forced OSU to make an announcement. That forced North Texas to make an announcement. And so then Eric Morris had to field those questions before he got to talk to his team, which I think was all something he didn't want, and he said as much. And I think it was telling that he didn't give Oklahoma State's website a quote, right? Like there was not like he was there signing papers and release, all that. So I think he feels bad about it, right? And I think he didn't want it. I think he wanted to go to Oklahoma State. It's a better opportunity for him. He's saying all the right things. He's, it's bittersweet. It's not you, it's me, kind of thing. I loved it here. We had great memories here. This is sort of home. It's kind of how he's spinning it, right? It's Big 12 country, going to Oklahoma. I get all that, and it's fine. We said line for line, stadium, resources, booster, depth, breadth. It makes sense. You go to Oklahoma State. He has ties here to North Texas, but, they're not that strong. Fine. But I say all that to all those distractions could have made North Texas lose this game. I remember those Seth Luttrell teams had a chance to close out a game against UTEP at home, similar situation, and they were fumbling and bumbling and couldn't close the deal, right? I mean, so we've seen similar teams, and not do a great job. This team 110, as everybody's been saying, closed the deal. They made it look routine. They're like, what distractions? No distractions here. Cam Dorner, 77 yards, touchdown. Caleb Hawkins, 186 yards. He didn't even have to break that many tackles this time. Like he was just running.
Yeah, and it's incredible to your point that even though like it's a game that you felt comfortable we would win once the game started, and it's like, okay, the distractions aren't really affecting anything, and then easily just scoring on a couple plays, a couple drives in a row, they settled in really quickly, and you felt like, wow, they can do this so easily. Where has this been for years, right? Eric Morris can come in and do this. Surely the next guy can come in and do it as well, but we won't be the only ones having to rebuild, right? Having to replace coaches, and so it's going to be even playing field. It's going to be more competitive to replace them, I think, now. Yeah,
let me just finish up the Friday game notes. I don't know. Like I said, there's not much here. North Texas scored 28 straight points after they scored a touchdown. Temple scored a touchdown. Then North Texas scores 28 straight points. It's 35-7 at half, and really there's a fumble. Like Hawkins fumbled. There's another fumble late. And I think Eric Morris said like the defense did a great job. Really only allowed one touchdown drive, and the rest were like short yardage things, or the offense fumbled. It's very difficult, and I was saying this here, like Temple, Rice, UAB, and Charlotte were moving the ball pretty well, and they're all terrible teams. And some of that situation, like North Texas down, 3-4 defensive linemen, a couple linebackers, and it can. Something to look out for as you play Tulane, a very good team, right? We're going to get ready to go play Tulane. We're going to talk about that now. I think we want to do a preview show this week, but we're going to talk a good bit about it. So, let's see. We'll put a timer on. Let's do the next 5 minutes. Let's talk about the coaching changes, because I think it's the context of America right now. As of this recording, Lane Kiffin said, I'm going to LSU. So, there goes that. I don't.
The Tigers are.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the complete opposite of the way Eric Morris handled it. It's the same situation, almost down, to the desires. I think Eric Morris is going to take his whole staff. I think he's going to take a lot of players, or wants to take a lot of his players. Lane Kiffin wants to take his whole staff, wants to take a lot of his players. But Ole Miss is reluctant to make that happen because it's an in-conference kind of thing, right? LSU's a rival. I mean, Oklahoma State, I don't think about Oklahoma State at all. And Oklahoma State doesn't think about North Texas. And so they're just like, fine, it's like a different league. It's not, directly competing with it. Oklahoma State is not, looking, even if Oklahoma State's great next year, it doesn't directly affect North Texas. If North Texas is great and Oklahoma State is great, they probably both get to the playoffs, and it's not really directly affecting anybody. So, it's kind of a wash. Ole Miss, LSU, it's a big deal. Apparently LSU, or Lane Kiffin threatened to I guess basically like blackball everybody. He was like, everybody needs to be on the plane today to Baton Rouge, and if you're not on the plane, you're not going to get an offer for a job. And, so.
Which is ridiculous. And I don't know how true that is. It's all been reported by beat writers or something. And that is the epitome of a distraction. And I know I've spoken about Lane Kiffin pretty highly, but that is par for the course for him, that drama-filled situation that he creates for himself. And then at the end is like, who created all this drama? All I'm trying to do is coach. Yeah, he does that. That's his thing. And
just me. I'm a great guy.
And LSU, if that's what you want, then that's what you're going to get.
I mean, he's a great coach that, as bad as those things are, you put up with them, right? I mean, it's always been the case with guys like that. Terrell Owens, back in the day, Des Bryant, like these guys are very good wide receivers. So you're like, well, deal with it because you can make catches. Once they start slipping and they're not as good as they once were, then you're like, it's not worth it. Or just get rid of them, And it's the opposite way. Like, the guy's a very good character guy. You'll put up with him not having as much talent because you're like, we just like keeping him around. He's good. He's a locker room guy. But if you're a locker room cancer, you're out. And same thing with coaches. Like, as soon as Lane Kiffin doesn't start winning, you're done with. Brian Kelly was the same way, right? He's like famously a terrible person to deal with. And, as soon as he's not winning there, they're like, all right, get out of here. They don't even want to pay him his buyout. They want to save for cause. Whatever. So, like, I think it could be that bad. And I know people were ragging on North Texas saying, oh, it's a G5 move to let your coach stay on or whatever like that. I mean, yes, yeah, it's lame, but I also think that you can do it the right way, right? And I think Eric Morris is doing it the right way. Yes, he's also recruiting for his new school. And yes, I also think that North Texas has to find the next guy so that way we can have a guy. Because right now we have nobody recruiting for North Texas, right? In the portal, in high school, none of that stuff. So we need a guy doing that. And, again, we can end up like Sam Houston State. They won the New Orleans Bowl, and they lost their coach. They lost their coordinators, right? We got their defense coordinator. Their head coach goes to Temple, and they're over this year, whatever it is, right? Like, they're getting blown out. They lose all the momentum from a 10-win season last year and a bowl win, right? So you can, it doesn't matter. We can win the national championship, and we can lose a lot of momentum here, because there's nobody recruiting for North Texas right now. There's nobody advocating for that.
Well, and that part extends to the athletic department too, right? They need to be able to bring in the guy to try to. They're not gonna. Don't bring a guy that's gonna go for 12 wins, right? Bring in a guy that's going to keep the momentum going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Being able to compete against Tulane, Memphis, South Florida, the American Conference mainstays, and be there at the forefront of people's minds when it comes to American Conference. So, right, we're not asking to bring in Nick Saban, bring in a guy that will be able to compete and recruit, bring in a quarterback and do all those basic things.
Yeah. So we talked about Lane Kiffin because that was like a big, coaching carousel move. Also today, Arkansas hired Ryan Silverfield, which is crazy because like Memphis fans were like, he was about to be on the hot seat anyway. We wanted to fire the dude, so instead of paying him money to leave, you're paying us money to take him. So a lot of the Memphis guys that follow on the Twitters are excited about the whole thing. The message boards, the Tiger message boards are pretty excited about the whole thing. They're like, sweet, he's gone. Let's get and they throw out some names, and we'll kind of talk about these. Some of them we've mentioned, but some we haven't. Like they're talking about like Dan Mullen. He's at UNLV, former Florida guy.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about former Florida guy, Billy Napier. Dan Mullen, the Mac guy, I forget his first name, but the dude at Kennesaw State won 9 games this year. He has him in the championship game. And then just Charles Huff, they're throwing that name out. I think that makes more sense if he goes from Southern Miss to Memphis then he comes over to North Texas. But I think I don't really think too much of Charles Huff. Like I don't have a fully formed opinion of him other than everywhere he goes he wins, right? He won at Marshall.
In difficult places.
Yes, and then that one, that's super impressive to win at Southern Miss. And you can't be like, it's lightning in the bottle. He won at Marshall. He goes to Southern Miss, winning over there. It's he's one of those guys, right? You're like, well, whatever he's doing it well. He's winning. He has a formula. So those are just some names that are being thrown out there. A lot of guys that they like. I think the Mac dude, he's a Memphian. So probably.
I called my father-in-law this morning. He's from Arkansas, big Arkansas fan, and I told him what it was, and he's like, "What happened to Golish?" Because he was excited about Golish, and I was like, "So who's Memphis? Who's their coach?" Yeah, never heard of him. And so this is a left turn from what everybody was kind of expecting, and also, hey, Memphis people, that normal power conference people don't really pay attention to you, so let that be a message to you.
Yeah, I mean, so again, it's funny that like I said, I think nobody's really thinking about us, and it's a little frustrating, and it's a little it's kind of good. You can kind of hide under the radar. I think that's a selling point for like a Dan Mullen or something like that. Somebody, and even a Billy Napier, someone who's had the very bright lights placed on you, where it can be very extreme. I talked about the benefits of kind of getting through some of that, what I call it, like the tribal, stuff that happens in college football. Well, I think at Florida, Texas, Alabama, all those SEC places, it gets very extreme. There's not a whole lot going on. You don't have Jerry Jones, running interference for you. Everybody's talking about the Cowboys, and so you're like, okay, I don't have to worry about nothing, right? If Eric Morris gets blown out the way he was getting blown out in year 1, year 2, even Oklahoma State's gonna be like, what's going on? It's gonna be on the news. A lot of stuff happened. There's only two basically big programs in Oklahoma.
Failure is very small.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's just very scrutinized, everything that you're doing. And like I said, we got Brett Vito out there, right? He's asking the tough questions, and then. That's it. Over there they got everybody. Everybody's asking the tough questions, and Lane Kiffin was ready to throw hands with the Mississippi State guy for saying he can't turn a hoe into a housewife.
Blogger, whatever he was.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. I think nobody was anybody trying to fight you? Seth Show wanted to fight you at all? It's you? No.
He wanted to wrestle,
but that's just for funsies, but not really. Not for you doing anything. Yeah,
cordially invited.
Yeah, you want to
wrestle?
You want to wrestle? We can get some wrestling. All right, so that's a dominant. So Ryan Silva. So Memphis is hiring. They have more money in North Texas, right? They can go buy out Dan Mullen. Here's the other thing about UNLV is that they don't even have money to pay Dan Mullen right now. So I think they probably wouldn't mind that too much.
Writing on the wall.
Yeah. So I don't think that would be too much of a steal. But I think that Jared Mosley is going for a guy with previous head coaching experience. However, I think there's a strong reason to hire OCs or DCs, guys that are just coordinators, because you get them, you're buying low. You're not paying the head coach.
And I understand that. That's what we have been doing for a long, long time, and I don't want that right now. It's such a vulnerable time for us, this transition between Eric Morris and the next guy. I think we need somebody with that experience that knows what needs to happen rather than...
Yeah.
I'm not... Yeah, like, what should I do next? Texting a friend, hey, what did you do?
I mean, that was the thing, is I think Seth Luttrell had to do that. I mean, even Eric Morris, because he had head coaching experience, but it was just the one time, right? And it was at FCS school. Like, it just, they didn't have expectations. It was different there, and I don't think he said he was still learning on the job. All right, so we've gone a little bit longer than on the segment than I wanted to do, but it's fine. Golesh went to Auburn, and Sumrall is going to Florida. Those are the other two things. So I think the most moneyed programs in this league are Memphis and USF. Based on what's been reported, I think Tulane has a lot of money, but we don't know about it because they're a private school. They don't want to show anybody. They hide it all. Don't look at my papers.
Mine.
Yeah, but I think they have a good, they have a good little stash of cash. And so then it benefited North Texas to get in early, but I think with everybody moving, now you got to go compete. And I think it's possible that we're a little bit in that Arkansas situation. We might get the worst one.
Less desirable. Yeah, and I see what you're saying. But I think the first point is that even with all the money that Tulane, Memphis, and South Florida will have, they still couldn't keep their coaches, right? I think I was reading a report that they were trying to come up with over $4 million for Sumrall.
He's going to get $8.
Yeah, he's going to get paid way more. And so... the American Conference is not a P5, a P6, or whatever that you want to call it, right? Mm-hmm. They're not able to outpace the power conferences. They're not at that point yet, so we can't think of it like that. And this proves it. The top 4 teams got pilfered. They're done, and they got to find new coaches, just like any other G6 team out there.
Yeah, there is a hierarchy, and again, you look in the SEC, right? The destination conference. Ole Miss is getting poached by LSU, right? They're like, yeah, we're going to give him $18 million or something ridiculous like that. It doesn't matter. Like, North Texas cannot pull out $18 million to give to the coach every year. So if LSU wants to take any coach that we have, they can, because they're just like, they're going to money whip them, like, oh, well, sorry, guys. I mean, even me, I can be swayed by $1 million or $2 million. They're like, look, we want you to do no more mean grenades. We want you to do this one over here. I'm like, all right, let's
give you $18
yeah.
flat.
Yeah. So, by the way, I'm here reading some of the Memphis coaching rumors. I think there's some overlap here. Jerry Mack, Kennesaw State. That's his name. Sorry, I couldn't remember that. Dan Mullen and UNLV, and I've heard that Dan Mullen's already been contacted by Memphis. Kane Womack, the former South Alabama Jaguar head coach, left to become the DC at Alabama and is now being courted. He apparently was in the Arkansas search. I don't know. G.J. Kinney at Texas State. That would be funny. And then Tyson Helton, who I think is a good coach in a weird situation there at Western Kentucky. They don't really play anybody interesting there. And, that's kind of it. So... No, I'm going to update our coaching tracker. We don't really have a lot of news. I think Jared Mosley's playing it close to the vest. I think, though, all of these other jobs, like you said, being open really affect what we're doing, because we got to compete. Maybe we could have given a guy $2.5 million, but then they're like, all right, we can go up to $3 million. And so then, he's like, well, they can go to $3 million. What can you do, North Texas? Now we got to go to $4 million. Et cetera, et cetera. So, or we just got to say, no thanks. We let him go, and then we got to get a guy that maybe we weren't super high on, but we could afford him. which I think is also similar to what we did in the basketball program hire. But
Yeah. This is why we got to get Mattress Mac involved and have him money whip somebody in the range
Mattress
of
money.
$1.2 million.
Do you think Mattress Mac keeps his money in a mattress? I wonder.
In between, not in the mattress itself, but in
Well,
between.
you put it in the mattress, and you never know because they don't ever look there. They look in between. It seems like something that guys of his era would do. I'm just saying, Yeah. So all right. So that's where we are. North Texas is going to do that. Let's talk about the game. We're at the 30-minute mark now. So that's coaching. But I'll ask you one more time. Do you have any hot sports opinions about our coach, other than the ones you just said?
Our current coach, Eric Morris?
Yeah, I mean the coaching search. I'm sorry.
I don't think I've got any hot sports opinions. There's been so much movement. I think, I don't know, maybe in recent memory, I don't remember these many openings out there. So there's
Ridiculous. Yeah.
a lot of opportunity at this time. I mean, Trent Dilfer is available. Deshaun Foster is available. Like great NFL folks. Anyway.
Yeah.
Neil Brown is the one that we talked about last week that intrigues me. Charles Tuff is another one that intrigues me, right? They're current or former head coaches. They've got that experience. And it kind of just makes sense. And they're safe, right? They're not splash hires like Eric Morris was in terms of the high offensive acumen, although you might consider Neil Brown there, but just general good head coaches. It's not a hot sports opinion, but I think that's what I want. I want somebody that can safely transition us to lead us for a few more years.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things. I don't want to be ageist, but it's always the same. But the thinking when you hire a young guy is that you get fresh ideas and get excitement, right? The deal when you hire an older guy, is that you get a steady hand, knows what he's doing, and he's not going to leave anywhere. I think the weakness of both is it's always the same, right? Like the young guy doesn't know what he's doing, kind of messes up. Old guy is out of touch, right? And I think Kevin Wilson was an experienced guy at Tulsa, didn't win, but the new guy, and nobody knows, and they're the worst team in the league also. Sometimes it's circumstance, and it's not necessarily the coach. You need a marriage between your circumstance and the coach. And I wonder if, like Neil Brown, he sort of went to the wrong place. I think, it was an opportunity. It was a P5 job, P6, whatever. It's a Big 12 job, I'll say. But I always thought West Virginia in the Big 12 is a weird fit. And Richard Rodriguez coming back. They're losing all the time anyway. Dana Holgerson was there. It's a weird job because there's not a cultural fit. I've driven up to West Virginia and went by there. And it's very far from Texas, I'll tell you that. It's not. Big 12 to me is Texas and the northern part of Texas over that area. It's just so different that I don't know why you're in the same league. And so to me, it's like, how do you compete in that? It's the cultural, problem. Yeah, they sort of got Cincinnati there, but Cincinnati's struggling also in the Big 12. I think that's weird. So I don't think you can look at Neil Brown's time at West Virginia and say, well, he failed here with resources, therefore he's bad. Same thing with Dana Holgerson there towards the end. He did really well early, and then they made the league switch, and it was kind of weird. Even with Dana Holgerson going to Houston, right? He did well in the AAC, and then they switched, and now they have to go compete in the Big 12, and they're terrible. Houston's terrible in the Big 12. Is that Holgerson's fault, or they just don't have enough money to compete? Cincinnati, they were winning. They're in the Big 12. They don't have enough money to compete. They just, so I don't think you can judge any of the guys that were doing those things if you're not looking at the resources there, right? How are they competing relative to the resources? Which is why, again, Eric Morris was a big hire for Oklahoma State, because relative to the league, North Texas we're not rolling in the dough, right? Like Memphis is, which is weird that Memphis had a well-funded program. You got FedEx just, Dad, I need new football. There you go, son. Right?
They're dropping money.
Yeah, and we're not a poverty program, but we're like, you know what? We're gonna reuse that football that we used. We'll patch it up. It'll be fine. You know what I mean? I get you a new one next year. You just gotta wait. I need the check to come in. It's not like we ain't got a football. How about you imagine you having football? Like that was like UIW. Like just let's pretend footballs, right? there's levels to it, right? And so then Memphis has a money machine. and then the guy went 4-4 in conference, right, with the better roster, right? I think, yes, we found Drew Messamaker. He's a very good quarterback, but I don't think that Eric Morris would have thought of him as a first choice. He didn't really, right? We had Chandler Morris on the field. We had Chandler Morris and Drew Messamaker on the same depth chart, right? And he chose one over the other, and he wanted to. They prepared to give Chandler Morris more money. Right? Here's $500,000, and he's like, "No, I'm going to take $1 million." He's like, "Sorry, I can't compete with that. We got to turn to Drew Messamaker." So it's not that Eric Morris is just like, I choose this guy. It's like, this is the best of what I have left, right? And so I'm going to make the most of what my choices are. And that's right. And he did more with less. It's a better way to say it.
Yeah, but credits there is that he was able to identify multiple great quarterbacks in one room. Now you've got Chris Jimerson. You've got Drew Messamaker. You've got Poffenbarger, which he's no slouch, right?
No, I mean, I feel good about the whole depth chart in there. I'm like, even was it the TV, that guy, the TVO, the third stringer that was getting guys' faces, took a snap.
Oh, Vandergriff? I can't remember what it is.
Yeah. All right. So all that to say is, again, Neil Brown, I thought he did good at Troy, which is like, he had resources, but not a lot of resources in the Sun Belt. Won the Sun Belt, right? He can do something.
Let's just go. I go back to all the bowls we've been to in the last 10 years, and then find out which coaches whooped our butts in those bowl games, right? And see if they're available.
Yeah. Well, the Utah State one, he went to Texas Tech, and then he slammed out there, and then who else?
Ohio.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember who's the Ohio guy. But he retired, right? And then App State's guy, he's gone. And he's somewhere else now, kind of doing something. But all right, so look, Mac Leftwich, he's a coordinator. I think he's too inexperienced. I like what he's doing on offense, but he hasn't run a program. Somebody said Marty Biaggi out there, former net. Yeah, I feel like just
so unserious.
Yeah, just because you're at a big program doesn't necessarily mean that you could do it here. Again, maybe, you could. But sometimes I think you have to be closer to the poverty level of the ones to understand the thing. You're like, I've done more with less now. I get a little bit more. Look what I could do, which is the Eric Morris model. So somebody was saying, the Tarleton State guy. They beat Army this year at Army. Went over there and beat them. We're gonna need to beat Army and get that same game plan, break it out, buddy, and see what we got. I don't think it's bad. You look at like a Joey McGuire at Texas Tech, right? He's an older guy. He had a lot of high school coaching experience, and I think he's not afraid to make decisions. He fired Tim DeRuyter, right? That was the thing. Tim DeRuyter is a former Fresno State head coach, and he was like, "Look, it's not working out. Cut." He liked him. He's not afraid to make tough decisions, and Texas Tech's number 5. We're not going to get a Joey McGuire. We're not going to get Joey McGuire, but we need a Joey McGuire-like guy. And I don't think that was like a sexy hire at the time. So you got to, Tarleton State guy. Do you even know who he is? No, you don't.
I've seen pressers with them, especially because they mentioned the North Texas job.
I've seen the name Tarleton State.
And I did watch him crush Portland State, which was kind of nice.
Yeah. And then I think the Abilene Christian head coach, he's also been thrown out there too. And, again, I don't hate that. Maybe he even brings Graham Harrell back and he's our offensive coordinator again. And you get to relive your relationship with him. So that's where we are. I don't think it's bad to say a Neil Brown. Or like I was saying, maybe even Dana Holgorsen. I don't think Dana Holgorsen did bad things as a head coach at West Virginia, considering the circumstances, and at Houston, considering the circumstances.
I mean, if we want to keep going down that tree to all the guys you mentioned, I believe Neil Brown was part of the same tree. Rich Rodriguez, Dana Holgorsen, all those guys. Yeah.
And then, so then you're like, well, I don't want a pure air raid guy. I want a guy who runs the ball. Neil Brown ran the ball at Troy. They had a 1,000-yard rusher. Dana Holgorsen, he famously started adding more pistol sets and started running the ball, condensed the splits. If you don't believe me, you can go back to that, was it West Virginia versus Clemson game. It was a bowl game. I think it was like an Orange Bowl game where they put up 70 against them. They were killing them. They were just killing Kevin Steele's defense in that one. And so you can see what, like the next year they were very good, and I think what's his name threw for like 60 touchdowns. Future NFL quarterback, plays for the Raiders now, whatever his name is. I forget everybody's name this morning. I had too much.
Geno Smith. Are you?
There you go, Geno Smith. No, I was not doing a bit. I really have had too much, turkey and pie and wine and mimosas and stuff. I've been enjoying my weekend.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good quarterbacks coming out of, exciting quarterbacks coming out of West Virginia. Some of them who flopped. I mean, Geno Smith famously dropped into the second round, but he had a resurgence of a career, and I think it's just the Jets are a succubus of of things, of talent, of hope.
Yeah. So we can all see.
Yeah, and so who was the other guy that after Geno Smith, he ended up being a tight end, and for I think Washington. Anyway, there's a lot of fun quarterbacks that have come out of there. Washington State back when Leach and then Eric Morris was there. You got guys coming out of there. Who else am I thinking of? I think the Troy quarterback for Neil Brown ended up getting drafted. But
I forget his name. Yeah. Like I said, they've identified quarterbacks. They've had good guys there. Like, I don't know if you ever remember back to the Sun Belt days. Troy was a very good, very dangerous program, and so you can make the argument maybe that some of Neil Brown's success at Troy was because Troy was good relative to the rest of the Sun Belt, and then they sort of fallen off. But again, they've been good. And then is it Summerall went there, right? He won at Troy also. Look, my point in the whole thing is that you might have to look in a different way. You can't just get off the top, right? In the same way that we can't recruit from the 5-star board, right? Who's one of these future NFLers are we going to add and restock? You got to find this guy. I see how he's he's a walk-on. Let's see if he can play quarterback. That's what we have to do here to get an advantage. We have to be superior talent evaluators. And yes, it's tough.
Culture fit too.
Yes, culture fit.
Yeah, because Lane Kiffin would absolutely destroy our athletic department with his presence and his attitude and this and that, right? So I'm not saying Lane Kiffin would come to North Texas, but I don't think North Texas would be prepared for a personality like that, and we would need somebody that is more like Eric Morris, more family-oriented, not as country club feel. I think we did that for a little while and didn't work out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like there has to be, exactly as you said, a culture fit, and that's why I don't hate the idea of keeping the culture adjacent. I always felt like North Texas is about running the ball. And we've in defense a little bit, but I think we've pivoted to say we're about offense. You can come to North Texas, you can score. Again, Seth Luttrell did that. Eric Morris has done that, and I think you can keep that going, right? Like it's out there. In recent memory, in the last 10, 15 years, it's been North Texas scoring offense and running the ball, and you can keep that up, right? Like I said, I think finding running backs is a lot easier nowadays because nobody's looking for running backs, and so you can find guys. And I said, if Patrick Cobbs still wants to be associated with the program, you say yes, because he's a great running back. He's coached up some great running backs here in his time under Seth Luttrell, under Eric Morris. I'd love to see Patrick Cobbs get more shine, and maybe as I'm saying, some of it depends on Patrick Cobbs. I don't know his daily life, but if you're like, hey, how that high-powered offense, how much of that did you know? Could you translate? Could you coach it? Could you play call, right? Patrick Cobbs. Maybe you take the next step and see if it can be a co-OC, be an OC, and that helps him go on the way to be a head coach at North Texas, which I think would be great for the program. But, like I'm saying, some of that, you have to be able to get you have to do some of that yourself. Has he been in there? Has he been trying to pick up whatever, with an eye towards it? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. I have no idea. I'm just saying.
At minimum, give him a huge pay raise. He's been doing fantastic for years and years and years.
Yeah, and so that's one. I just saw Tulane is ranked 113 in pass defense. Let's preview the game that we care about coming up this way. Are you going to New Orleans?
No, I will not be able to swing that.
This guy. You're that guy. You guys all need to run out. Go to meangreenNation.com. Subscribe so I can kick Aldo some money so he can afford a bus ticket. He would need to leave tonight and then take
we would need the donors to come together during a secret meeting.
Yeah, just split out a little cash, call it a buyout clause. Get Aldo on a bus. He'll take a Greyhound, 58 hours across the nation.
Man.
That would be terrible. Yeah.
And you're not wrong on the time.
Yeah,
it's about 50 hours.
It's crazy. So yeah, I was hovering over the button and I was rooting. I was like, hey, Charlotte's getting interceptions. Charlotte's getting fumble recoveries. But they have no offense. They had zero offense. Yeah. Their offense is hopefully they could intercept it, run to the end zone and score. Tulane won.
Shut out.
Yeah, 27-0. And, all right, here's the deal. I don't want to spoil anything or just kind of jinx anything, but I feel a lot better about this game versus Tulane than I ever did at any point throughout the season. Like, Tulane has not been good regularly. They're up and down. Summerall said, like, if we're the 25th in the nation, there must be some bad football. And I agree with him because they're not that good. Can they be good? Yes. Are they good regularly? Nay.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I have felt the confidence grow and grow and grow with North Texas to end the season. And that's kind of the momentum you want to be in your favor. While with Tulane, it started out strong and then kind of skidded towards the end. And there's a lot of questions there. And which,
the past tense of skidded is actually scode, but
scoded. Anyway, yeah, and part of me is not selfishly, but truthfully, objectively thinks that North Texas should be ranked ahead in the conference football playoff and should have had the opportunity to host. But nobody's asking me.
Well, I'm asking you, Aldo. I'm asking you. And the people are asking. So, yeah, I agree that I think there's two aspects of it. Yes, you can be like, well, who have they played, right? That's a genuine question. I think Tulane has played. You got Northwestern. I think there's a lot of work being done. They beat Duke, and there's a lot of work being done there. I'm like, well, Duke, they're in a better conference than yours. Like, yeah, but if you got Duke and dropped them in the American, do they win? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's somewhere in the middle there, right? Same thing if you got USF and then dropped them in the ACC with that same Duke schedule. I think maybe it looks similar, right? There's like similar talent.
Sure.
Yeah. And yes, you can be like, well, there's more money, but that's not what we're asking. The question is not who has more money, who has a better gym. It's we're not playing house hunters. What we're playing is football, right? And like North Texas, against the schedule that they've had, including the non-conference, whatever, has whooped on everybody except Western Michigan. Oh, by the way, might be MAC champs. Army. A tough Army team that is going to a bowl game, right? Like, counting them out. You know what Army is? The defending American champs, everybody. Mm-hmm. Does nobody respect?
Former champs.
Yeah. Nobody respects it.
Yeah, and the strength of record spread is so tight among a lot of the teams in the American that it makes it easier to say, well, we've performed about the same against the teams that we were supposed to beat.
Yeah, I would add, because I don't like this, because that thing, any metric that you use, people start gaming the metric. So if you add strength, like a margin of victory, people are like, well, we got to run up the score. But, I think margin of victory is useful, right? Has North Texas had trouble with the dregs of this conference? They have not. UAB.
Not like years past.
Yeah, UAB, Temple, Charlotte, Rice. They all got walked, right? It was done at halftime. We were picking records. Like, who wants a record? Come here. Wait. Hey, you already had a record.
You had one last week.
Yeah. And Caleb, have you been running for all the touchdowns? Like, oh, sorry. It's just so easy. They don't stop me. So, like, it's that. It's just really kind of pick a number, right? Who wants to score from the 5? Let's go to Caleb. Caleb scores some 5. And then again, not to knock Caleb Hawkins or diminish anything he's done, but when Ashton Gray's getting in there, he's running for 60 yards, against, it's like, I remember we said against, to Hank Dickinson, he was like, I don't know if North Texas is going to run up the score. I was like, I don't think they're trying to run up the score. I don't think anybody's going to be able to stop him. It's time to get Ashton Gray, and then he's going to,
And he's rolling down the hill, yeah.
Yeah, he ran for a touchdown, and they had to call it back, right? There's holding, they said. He's holding. They're cheating. It would have been 60, 59 points because he just scored another touchdown. Like, a lot of our touchdowns have been garbage time touchdowns because they can't stop them by the backups. Backups are running for scores. So,
yeah, which is, if we're able to keep a lot of those backups, that means great times for whoever comes in coaches next year.
Yeah, quit derailing me talking about the sad things. But yeah, you see what I'm saying? My point is that, like, North Texas is good because that's what you expect to happen, right? Like, again, if I bring an NBA basketball player in and I'm trying to guard him, I expect him to beat me, 21-0, right? With like 20 dunks. You know what I mean? Like, it should be like that. If it's like, well, he beat me 21-20 on a fadeaway jumper from the corner where I was locking him down. You're like, what's going on there, right? That's what you expect. So how do you know this guy's better? How do you know this team is better? Like, are they handling business? Yeah, North Texas is up 35-7 at halftime. And then, just looking real easy. Kind of start taking it easy there.
Yeah. And that's a good analogy. I used to, go and play at the rec center at UNT, and every once in a while there'd be a guy there who played D1 basketball. And at the time I was 6 foot, 145, 150. I was soaking wet.
Yeah.
And this guy was
they turn on the AC
6,
and you start blowing a little bit. Hey.
This guy is like 6'3", maybe 6'4". He's like 220, 230. Big muscular guy. And I think, I can just be shifty and get around him and, be faster than him because he's bigger, lumbering. And anyway, we became friends and I never, ever beat him because he was just bigger, faster, stronger. Like, there was no way for me to get around him. And there was no way for me to defend him either. Because he just used his size, he used his agility, and in ways that when you don't see it in person, you don't really understand how much you pale in comparison to that other individual. And so this kind of same with the North Texas team. North Texas team is a good team on the national stage, and the way they've been handling these poor teams, these the Tulane, the Temples and UTSAs of the world, even. Charlotte, Rice, they've been doing it handily and without hesitation, and when before they probably would have been struggling in years past. And so that's what gives me the confidence that we'll see a very good game from North Texas on Friday.
Yeah, I think a good comparison is last year, right? North Texas had a very explosive offense, but you can see similarities there where teams were able to shut down certain aspects of it, which shut down a lot of the offense because you're like, because we didn't have a powerful running game in the end zone, in the red zone, in short yardage. And like Mackenzie McGill was good, but not great. He was not Caleb Hawkins style. And you can see what turned a 33 point per game team to a 45 point per game team was efficiency in the red zone in short yardage. And it's Caleb Hawkins essentially.
One of the best in the country.
Yeah, and
first or second.
Yeah, and so like when you're like, hey, if we get anywhere close to the red zone, it's a touchdown guaranteed. You knew this team can move between the 20s anyway, right? And so like that's happening. I think the other, is like kind of good. Continuing the point is that like, this team has played good teams and made them look not so good. Like Navy gave North Texas a game. Right, we said Navy hadn't played anybody. They had a big yards per play kind of thing, and we were wondering how solid that was. And we felt confident about North Texas' ability to stop Navy enough, and then scored against Navy because they hadn't played anybody. Well, Navy went on to beat USF, a team that beat North Texas. They went on to beat Memphis, and they went on to to finish with the same record as North Texas. Their only losses against us in league play, us and Notre Dame. Pretty great for Navy there. And I tell you the truth, again, not to denigrate Tulane, I would be more scared of facing Navy because they have already seen North Texas defense and they have a little bit more more of a chip on their shoulder, I think. They would be a little bit more ready. And like I said, you can't count out the Navy guys. So. Well,
and they have also had that momentum swing to close out the season, right?
Yes,
with
exactly.
All those wins, they feel that confidence.
And then you look at Tulane, I don't think that they've closed as strongly. They've, again, against a Charlotte team that North Texas set records against. And outside of the beginning thing, you want to nitpick North Texas, like, hey, you're still allowing a lot of movement. I said first downs by Temple, Bryce, UAB a little bit. Like UAB was able to move the ball in the air, and they felt confident in their ability to do so. Tulane, but watching Retzlaff throw the ball around last night, I'm like, Charlotte's a terrible pass defense, and I don't know, Tulane, you're making it look tough. You're like, who am I going to throw to? These Charlotte guys, they're everywhere. Like, no, they're not. You're just throwing up ducks, dude. It's easy to catch a punt, an arm punt out here. So, again, I'm not super scared of Tulane's defense. They've done pretty good defensively. I think they can run the ball when they want to. I think they're hanging their hat on their defense. They're third in the league in terms of yards per game. They're fourth in the league in yards per play allowed. But guess who's third? University of North Texas in yards per play allowed.
North Texas, mean green.
So by one measure, we have a better defense than Tulane, right? And you look at who Tulane has played. Again, you can play Northwestern. They're a Big Ten team. Yeah, Northwestern didn't really do a whole lot. South Alabama, we beat them. They beat South Alabama by 2 points, right? We beat them by 2 touchdowns, right? They beat Duke. Okay, that's again they're going to play for the ACC championship game, but Duke didn't really play anybody good in the ACC, really. They got stomped by Ole Miss. Okay, Ole Miss is a good team. They beat Tulsa only 31-14. Like, you're not taking the top off there, and that's again is like. It seems like you're limited. You beat East Carolina. I think East Carolina is a good team. That's at home, but it required a late touchdown drive. Army, again, Army's crazy. You need a late score against Army. Okay, eliminate that. You got handled by UT San Antonio, right? And then you'd be like, well, the Alamo Dome.
A satellite school.
Yeah. The Alamo Dome, it's real scary. No one's scared. Army. Let's pause real quick. We got a couple minutes. Did you see the aftermath of that Army UTSA game?
Yeah, I started watching it, and then I realized I didn't care, and I moved on.
Well, so, apparently the Army likes to stand behind the team as they're singing the school song. I guess they were chirping. Apparently, the Army didn't like, or the Army players didn't like that Jeff Traylor said, yeah, Army had to play perfectly to beat us a couple years ago here. And they're like, I guess we played perfect again, huh? Another perfect game. They were just talking mess. And then he was getting mad. Yeah. Monk was going to shake his hand. He was like, well, get out of here. And so then they got in a little tiff, whatever. All that's funny. I'm glad that UTSA's home winning streak has ended. And, the only team to win there is Army. Army just goes there and wins. They've won 3 times in the Alamo Dome. So the thing is, it can be done.
Hate to see it.
You can go there and do it. And, Tulane, it was terrible. And, again, a lot of it was just because they couldn't. Retzlaff was awful. Play at Memphis, get a win at Memphis. Impressive, I guess. I don't know how impressive is a win against Memphis. I don't even know anymore. Like, is that a good team? I don't even know. Hey, they're a talented team. But I would say that North Texas almost beat Memphis at Memphis with a worse team, and then they almost beat Memphis at home with, again, a worse team in the last 2 seasons or whatever. In Morris's first year, second year. So, are they good? I don't know.
Defense. Yeah, it's paper tiger, pun intended. There with Tulane. Yeah, their rushing defense is what they
hang their hat on.
What will control the game, right, for them. But I think we're able to adjust to that and can put Caleb Hawkins, McGill, I almost said Shane Porter, Sibley in situations where they don't have to go up the middle, right? Screen passes, tunnel screens, mid screens, whatever. And we can use the screen game as an extension to the run game, spread them out, and then help set up the run with the pass. I'm feeling really confident. Like I said, on paper we should be able to handle Tulane. I mean, it might get a little uncomfortable at the beginning because we won't know what Tulane's going to throw at us defensively. But I think Eric Morris and the team will adjust. And we'll pass all over them, definitely, and then run all over them.
So, Tulane, two seasons ago in 2023, we went to Yulman Stadium and we lost 35-28. That was Eric Morris's first year, and I think it was a 4th-and-1 conversion that we didn't convert there. It was to land inside or something like that. I think, Tulane was like, whoa, it kind of got caught off guard. Next year, they come to Denton, And they ran all over us, right? It was like 200, 300 yards. But I looked again. I didn't realize the final score was 45-37. And I think some of that was like late. North Texas kind of had a little late, drive. It was not exactly a close game. But Tulane controlled that game with their run game. We just could not stop them. And again, that was with the worst defense in the nation, right? North Texas does not have the worst defense in the nation. Again, our yards per play was the bottom of the league last year. Now we're third, right ahead of Tulane. So I'm not like all those things were like, man, Tulane, they're going to run against us. Well, are they? We don't need 3, tackles for loss in a row. We need to slow them down, make them punt every once in a while. Make Retzlaff say, it's 3rd and 8. Let's see Retzlaff throw the ball around. And, he'll throw an interception because, that's what he's been doing. That's what we want.
Tulane's yards per game is nestled between UTSA and Temple, sitting number 10.
You're talking about offensive yards per game?
Offensive yards per game, yeah. So number 11, number 10 out of 14. Yeah,
in yards per play, they are 4th, behind Navy at 6.88, and they're at 6.2. USF 7.2, and North Texas at 7.43. UTSA is at 6.5, 6.05, right? In terms of teams we played, like how can they move the ball? Like I think Tulane is a good team. They're obviously they're in the league championship game. It's not going to be a walkover the way, Temple, Rice, UAB, Charlotte was. It's going to be a little bit more like the UTSA game. Hey, the one that we won, but you saw UTSA move the ball up and down the field. But then UTSA did UTSA type things, the things that they've been doing all season: drop passes, misfires, fumbles, whatever. So if you can make Tulane work, then you'll see them make mistakes. That's what the idea is, right? Put the game in Retzlaff's hands, right, where he's been throwing interceptions, right? I'm trying to find his game log here so I can get to what I'm talking about. 2 interceptions against UTSA. Threw an interception against Florida Atlantic, which is terrible. Florida Atlantic's terrible, which is why you only beat Florida Atlantic 35-24. ECU destroyed Florida Atlantic to end the season. He threw 2 interceptions against Charlotte. Charlotte basically has no pass defense. They're basically cones with feet. And then Charlotte has the worst pass defense in the nation. And then he's like, I don't know, them Charlottes are everywhere, man. Hey, ref, I think they got 12 on the field. The windows are tight, coach. No, they're not. They're not tight at all. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm trying to see how his rating compares. I think the second worst rating against conference play.
In conference
worst being against UTSA. Yeah, in conference play.
Yeah, let me look at that too. I think it's a good passing leaders versus conference rating. So number 1 is Drew Mastermaker at 184. Number 2, Byron Brown, Owen McCown. Then third, Jake Retzlaff. But it's at 152, which is pretty terrible, right? And against conference, he's 12 touchdowns for the good, 6 interceptions for the bad. Drew Mastermaker, 19 touchdowns for the good, 4 interceptions, right? Against conference play. And 3 of those were against USF, right? So against one team. Only one team has made Drew Mastermaker look poor. He did throw an interception against, what was it? Did he throw one? Who did Drew Mastermaker
Was it Charlotte?
Yeah, it might have been Charlotte. I guess Charlottes are everywhere. Yeah, it was the one against Charlotte. We threw 4, right? 4 to the good and 1 to the bad. So there you go. Maybe the Charlotte defense is everywhere, Sneaky Charlotte. But so again, Drew Mastermaker against the dregs of the conference. This is what I'm talking about. Temple, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 252 rating. Rice, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 296 rating. UAB, 2 touchdowns, 198 rating. Right? Navy didn't throw a touchdown, 161, no interceptions either. Charlotte, you're like, oh, okay. Threw that interception. Still a 202 rating, 4 scores, and 608 yards passing. Again, he made up for it. He make mistakes. The guy makes mistakes. Cool. Against UTSA, 4 scores, 167 rating. The worst rating all season has been 142 against South Alabama. Or I'm sorry, the 127 against USF, and the next one is at 142 against South Alabama. Which is in that range there. I'm misspeaking again. The Army game where he threw for a score, 139. Again, you look at Retzlaff, and he's not playing the same kind of game. He's been worse. And I think that's their weak link, right? If you look at North Texas, where's the offensive weak link? It's maybe the offensive line getting some penalties. It's maybe some drop passes here and there, right? Like even Terrence Lewis has been dropping passes against Charlotte. He had the wide open one, and then he's caught a touchdown this last time, but he had a double catch it. He's a freshman. That's what happens. But Cam Dorner, Wyatt Young, balling out of control right now. Trey Williams, tight end, he's been balling out. Caleb Hawkins, he's like basically walking to 150 yards a game, and then he gets an extra 30, when he just turns on the Jets. 3-4 scores a game. And against good teams, he's been running. So, you're like, where's the weakness? Where do we force him? Let's make him run the ball. I don't think you want to do that. All right, let's make him throw the ball. I don't know that's going to help you either. So, you're hoping to get pressure on Drew Mestemaker, and I think he's improved at reading defenses, at reading the blitzes, and then handling that pressure. So, what do you do if you're Tulane? Against Tulane's offense, I'm like, I don't know. I don't think that they have, I think you can make them throw the ball. I like the idea of Ratzlaff having to throw against a defense ready to defend against. North Texas has been a very good turnover-generating machine, and you got a quarterback that likes to throw interceptions. We picked off Horvath. Guy doesn't throw interceptions, right? We picked off Evan Simon. He only had one interception all season. You telling me?
Who?
I don't even know who was that against. Now I think about it. Where's Evan Simon at? Where you at, Evan? Temple, Evan. Do you know who to do it against besides us?
Oh,
No,
I didn't.
It wasn't Charlotte, by the way.
Honest.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was East Carolina. He threw an interception against them, and then the second one against little old North Texas. And so,
the key is to disrupt their normal play calling. Force them into positions where they don't want to be in. We did that to Rice as well, right? They want to run the ball. They want to do the triple option. And we switched up our tackling. We switched up cleats and forced them into long situations, making them pass. We did that to Army. We did that with Navy a little bit, which Navy being a better team, we struggled a little bit, but we were able to contain and ultimately win the game. So I think, yes, you're right. Navy is more challenging. I don't want to jinx. Part of me doesn't want to jinx anything, but I'm feeling so confident that I'm like, this should be a good North Texas win.
Should be easy, guys. Yeah, so the Tulane loses not because their offense is bad. Ole Miss did a good job of containing them. And their other loss against UTSA, they had 7.1 yards per play. It has been turnovers. Turnovers are what make Tulane play poorly. Every game they can move the ball, they have 400 yards per game. It's turnovers. That's the thing, and I think that's the part where you look at the turnover margin. I'll do the game log here. They're +5 against Northwestern, so they get turnovers. They're -4 against UTSA. That's really it. But they've been negative. They're +5 on the season, but they had 5 turnovers against Northwestern, and they had +3 against Florida Atlantic. Those are 2 outliers. Everything else have been -1, right? -4 against UTSA. You throw that one out, -1 against East Carolina, -1 against Army, -1 against Charlotte, which is ridiculous. Why are you losing the ball to Charlotte? It's interceptions, right? 8 interceptions on the season, and then they've lost 6 fumbles. That's been really the thing there.
Yeah, and North Texas defense is so disruptive. We have forced 10 fumbles this season, while Tulane has forced 5.
Yeah, I'm looking at our turnover. Yeah, turnover margin. We're averaging +1 on the season. Tulane is, where are you, Tulane? They're 7th in the league at .42, right? So if you just look at overall margin, we are +13, and Tulane's +5. And I already kind of talked about why that is, what that looks like. Again, our worst game was -2 to USF, and we know what happened there. But we didn't have -2 against Charlotte, right? There's the interception. I think we lost a fumble too. I can't remember that fumble now that I think about it. And then we lost -1 against Temple. It was 2 fumbles. So it was our worst game. Our first 2 fumble game since the USF game was against Temple. The mighty Temple Owls. Only 8 fumbles lost on the season. Only 4 interceptions lost on the season. We intercept 13. We've intercepted 13. so far, and we've gained 12 fumbles. I think fumbling, we mentioned that, it's a little bit of luck. I think interceptions are more about confusing the quarterback, making him make bad decisions. But you can also throw in the fumbles if they're quarterback fumbles, that kind of thing. You can kind of tie that up in there as like disruption. But, we made Byron Brown turn the ball over. We intercepted the pass there. We made him fumble too. I'm talking about the best the league has to offer, right? Evan Simon he takes good care of the ball. He threw an interception against North Texas. I think you can place a bet, a friendly wager, and say North Texas is going to get a turnover against Tulane. And then the question is, hey, can Tulane stop North Texas from moving the ball? I don't think anybody else has in this conference. Not even USF. USF did it in the second half, but North Texas scored 36. Move the ball. So, what you going to do? They're at home, though. Maybe they poisoned the breakfast or something like that. They resulted those tricks. Quick quiz before we wrap it up. What's the worst yards per play output for North Texas this season?
This season?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to...
For just context, the best has been against Rice, 11.64. That might make sense because we threw an 84-yard touchdown and a 74-yard touchdown. So you're like, the yards per play, pretty good in that one. So what is the worst?
I'm going to go Western Michigan 4.4.
Incorrect. We haven't got lower than 5.83, which is against USF.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Yards per play against Lamar, 6.1. Western Michigan, 6.4. That was a good guesstimate. That was one of the lower ones. Washington State, 6.5. And again, that was because we had short yardage, right? Army, 6.1. Tough Army team. Again, looking back on the season, tough Army team. 6.6 against South Alabama. 5.83 against USF. That was the lowest. 7 against UTSA. 9.6 against Charlotte. And then all the scrub teams. Navy, 6.14. Again, Navy and Army, underrated defensively. UAB, 8.58. Rice, 11.64. Temple, 9.45. So if you're like, where are we going to play? I think it's somewhere in that 5, 6, 7 yards per play kind of range. That's right in North Texas' wheelhouse. I think that's it. Scored 50 in what? 1, 2, 3, 4 of the last. Or I'm saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the last 6 games. Pretty good, guys.
I've got a random question that has nothing to do with anything that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
What if Navy beats Army and then they become 8-1 in the conference?
They wouldn't be. It's not a conference game, so it does not count. It's its own thing, special thing.
It's its own thing? It's not a conference game?
It's not. That was one of the conditions on playing that game. They did not want that to be a conference game because it has to stand alone. It has to be the last game of the season, and also the conference championship game is this week. So we play on the 6th, or the 5th, I'm sorry.
And they play next
Then
week.
they play on the 13th, yeah. So
yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So, by the way, what is our best defensive yards per play? Like, allowed against. So I'll tell you right now, the worst was USF. We allowed 6.74 yards per play. And that was equaled by Navy, 6.74. Navy, USF, both moved the ball well against North Texas, in case you're wondering.
So that's the most we allowed. You said, what was that number?
6.74 yards per play against. So, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go... Almost said Charlotte. No, who did we play last week?
We played Temple. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Temple, 4.2.
So it's wrong against the number is close to right. The opponent is wrong. Temple 4.51. The best FBS one, I was going to give it to you. You got it. Is 4.27 against Western Michigan. The absolute best is Lamar, 2.2. But that's an FCS school. I think you forgot about Lamar. It's not a big deal. But yeah, Washington State 4.37. So again, North Texas is a pretty good defense, guys. We're not allowing big pops here.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby at all. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's you start looking at the thing there. You're like maybe we're not too bad. Maybe we'll do okay. Maybe. By the way,
something in the trophy case.
That's it. That's all I want. I don't care. I do care about the college football playoff. Let me just say that outright. I do care about it, but I think also it's important to win what you can win. There's a beauty contest. I think somebody said it right. The college football playoff invitational. That's kind of what it's happening. You can't really earn your way in, sort of, because they're like, well, maybe you're not the top 5 best. Like there's always ways that they can stick you out of the thing, but you can win, right? You can win the league, and you get a trophy and put it in the trophy case, and that's all you can do any season, every season, right? So like even like Duke, they win. They're like, well, we're gonna get kept out of the college football playoff. They're gonna have to play that game. Whatever. What North Texas can do is win the American Conference Football Championship, and I'm gonna be there in New Orleans for that.
It should be exciting. Should be fun.
Yeah, we'll see it. I'm waiting on them to send me the credential. I applied for it on the 12th. As of the 30th, still not.
Uh-oh.
And keep me
Who's
out.
this guy?
Yeah, I'm seeing. I don't know.
We don't allow outlaws here.
Yeah, it's one of them outlaw medias again. I can't have them in there. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to the show. This has been the Mean Green Nation podcast. End of the regular season edition. We'll preview Tulane a little bit more if we can this week. It kind of depends on Aldo's health. Look at him; he's looking pale.
Yeah, I look bad. I don't feel good.
Is there anything else you want to say? You can wrap it up in the next 10 seconds. Go ahead.
I'm super excited for this week. We exceeded above my expectations, and this team has been so much fun to watch.
Well said. Ladies and gentlemen, go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.
Recording stopped.